Welcome back to Global News, a place where you can find all kinds of news, politics, hot gist all over the world. You are at the right place. After watching this video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, turn on the bell notification so you always get notified once we drop a new video.
Hello there, and thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalists Hangout. I am Kemi Fola Adeyemo. Today on the program, the National Assembly passes a harmonized electoral amendment bill with direct, indirect, and consensus modes of primaries. Plus, police file charges against Oduduwa University founder Ramon Adedoyin and others over the death of OAU master's students. Later on the show, Governor Zulum storms Chibok, meets families of victims of attacks by Boko Haram and ISWAP, worried about attacks in 4 local government areas in the state. And I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Utitoju and Emeka Madunagu. Gentlemen, welcome to Journalist Hangout.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
And if you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, it appears that the more we try to sanitize the electoral process, the more some unscrupulous politicians attempts to scuttle such efforts. Ekiti State Police Command has now confirmed the arrest of some suspected armed thugs allegedly on their way to the state from Ibadan in Oyo State. The police public relations officer Sunday Abutu, who confirmed the arrest, said the suspects were traveling in 5 18-seater buses along the Ijebu-Ijesha-Itaore road when they were intercepted and arrested in Itaore, Efonalaye by soldiers at about 3 in the morning. And gentlemen, that's how we begin the program. But BKO, starting with you, this is a worrisome trend, and accusations have, has been dropped. People insinuating that their mission, the mission of this suspect, might have just been the ongoing primary election of the PDP in Ekiti State.
Certainly, the mission was to disrupt the primaries. The party has found it difficult to resolve outstanding issues within it. In the southwest, we've seen former Ekiti Governor Fayose pitched against the governor of Oyo State, and they had their issues, but ultimately the candidate supported by the governor prevailed at the Congress of the party, the Southwest Zonal Congress of the party, and Fayose left Oshogbo with tails in between legs. Now he's gone back to his state to strategize, and clearly, as I said yesterday, with the decision of the party to not allow special delegates to vote in the primaries, it leaves the coast almost entirely clear for Fayose's candidate Bisikola Ole to emerge the winner. And just today, Senator Lujime, who in my view is perhaps the aspirant who could have offered some resistance in the real sense of the word, decided to pull out of the race. So with that, except by violence, nothing will stop Bisikola Ole, who was the chairman of the party before he resigned, chairman of the party in the state before he resigned, to contest from winning, because the bulk of the delegates, automatic delegates, are people that he had presided over. It's just like I being the president of your club, and we've been working in tandem together, and I have to contest an election, and like 70 or 80% of the people who can vote in that election are you people who had been.
So that familiarity.
Yes, at least those people, he is better placed than others to win. Is best placed to win the primaries.
Than even a former governor. Than even a former governor who is also aspiring.
Yes,
for that ticket.
It's no longer the power behind that former governor was Fauci himself, and Fauci has chosen a different person this time. It's the nature of our politics. Nigeria is just similar to Pakistan in terms of the power that godfathers wield in politics, and sometimes when godfathers think that they spent enough money, they too decide to contest, as we saw with Nawaz Sharif, who later became prime minister and eventually left office in disgrace. So.
All right. Well, that said, Emeka, what are your views about these happenings? Fine, there could be a strong link between the presence of these thugs before they were intercepted by security operatives and the procedure going on there in Ekiti State ahead of the elections. But must violence, always be, a strong, always have a strong presence when we have electioneering activities like this?
Yes, unfortunate, that Nigerian politicians have refused to move away from the odious past of, violence, gangsterism, killings, associated with electioneering and elections. It's very unfortunate. I mean, you find out that instead of going to meet the people to canvass votes, that's what politics is all about, canvassing votes, talking to the people, trying to woo the people. They believe they can use money and then use thugs, violence to force, their will down the throats of the people. But the good thing is that our democracy is improving. Over 20 years. 23 years. By 23 years by May this year. So it shows our democracy is improving. If security agents can be as vigilant as this, as not just because it's PDP that's involved, even if it is APC or whichever party, every time there is any electioneering activity going on, security agents must be vigilant. They must be everywhere to make sure they nip such things in the body. Because who knows how many security agents would have been killed today? Who knows how many people would have been killed today? So, and we'll still go back to the odious past, which Nigerians are tired of.
Brother, soldiers will do their best, effect these arrests that in many cases the police are reluctant to make.
The police are even saying they are waiting for the soldiers to hand them
transfer.
No, which is the normal thing anyway. But the politicians will go and effect the release of these people.
That is it.
This happened, I remember the 2007 election here in Lagos and in Ibadan. I remember in Ibadan, General Umar arrested some thugs that wanted to disrupt the election. But after that, we don't hear anything. You won't hear that also number of political thugs have been jailed. Politicians will call the police commissioner, anybody on the matter, and tell them to release these people because they still need them to win future elections. It's a massive shame. These soldiers have done well, but I can tell you that these guys, you will start seeing some of these people around now instead of being jailed. This is the way we are. Politicians are a big problem for our country.
Big problem.
Big problem. And we have sometimes violent convulsions in some parts of our country. People will be kidnapped. You then hear that they've been moved to Abuja. By the time they get to Abuja, these guys will eventually be released.
Surely this is an indictment, of the police. But yes, there are realities, that we contend with. Even if the police comes out, and argues otherwise. The fact remains that nothing much is known after arrests like this are made. So I don't know how do we correct this trend?
That's part of what we're talking about, police reforms. That the IG should be independent, the commissioners of police should be independent, should be insulated from political interference. But what do you find is we run what Fela will say it's a paddy system, you know. So that's the unfortunate thing. But I wish somehow some people will be made an example of. It's not only INEC officials that should be jailed. You know, they have been jailed, you know, but INEC should also find a way to get some of these people jailed.
All right. Well, that said, we've set the tone for our discussions on the program at this Wednesday edition. Now, moving on, in democracy, the more they say, the merrier. And so the more participatory the process, the better for the system. The argument over direct primaries as an option for political parties comes to mind. Both chambers of the National Assembly have now harmonized their positions on the Electoral Act amendment, the electoral bill being amended, inserting the direct, indirect, and consensus modes of nominating candidates by political parties for elections. Now, this was after President Muhammadu Buhari declined access to the bill. And while the Senate included the consensus clause, the House of Representatives adopted only the direct and indirect primary modes before both chambers concord on the three methods. Well, the lawmakers added a clause that there must be a written consent for the consensus modes from all aspirants to the office being sought for. Well, that's an interesting provision, but as we begin this discussion, BKO, in whose interest are the lawmakers, you know, really serving with this late